Shalom, Israel. How y'all doing? Welcome to today's class. It's called From Ballin to Beggin. We're going to get into a couple of scriptures, and we're going to show how we went from balling to absolute begging. Like right now, today, our people are begging for their lives to be spared by Esau, and Esau is not letting up. But according to the scriptures, our forefathers, they never did that. But it's crazy how our people are doing that today. And I am Izar Allah. And next to me is
Ikwatazah Tazadak.
And we're going to get into this lesson, y'all. So the first scripture I want to start out with is Deuteronomy 28 and 17. Because how many of y'all believe that we went from balling to begging? Yeah, we did that. We went from balling to begging real hard. Begging for our land back, our heritage back, our name back. To be back in right standing with the Most High. We are indeed beggars right now. But it's a way for us to get out of this begging state too as well. But go ahead, read that, 17.
Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 17. Cursed shall be thy basket and thy store.
So our stores and our baskets are indeed cursed. What store do we own here in America? We got some people that own some things, like the lady in Compton. That's like the only black grocery store out here, right? The grocery outlet, but that's franchise. But even that being franchise, she has to pay taxes, which at one point in time, we made our enemies tributaries to us. But because we sinned, we are now tributaries to our enemies. So let's skip down, go down to verse 43.
Verse 43, the stranger that is within thee shall get above thee very high, and thou shalt come down very low.
So we're going to show that too, because Esau and all the other nations were our enemies. Those are the strangers, and we were above them in rulership, but now they're higher than us. They're the top of the food chain, and we the bottom of the food chain, right? But go ahead, the next verse, 43. But finish reading that, and then 43.
The stranger that is within thee shall get up above thee very high, and thou shalt come down very low. He shall lend to thee, and thou shalt not lend to him. He shall be the head, and thou shalt be the tail.
What black man is lending to the white man today? What Israelite man is lending to the white man today? Nobody, right? Not even in Africa, where they have an abundance of resources. You got the Chinese, you got the Edomites going over there raping them for their resources and paying little to no money for it. They even got the U.S. military over there right now, and there's no war between America and Africa. But what do you do when you send your military over there? Start taking over stuff and start controlling stuff. Because Africa, all those countries, they don't have no adequate army to fight against America. But it said, what did it say?
He shall be the head, and thou shalt be the tail.
So our people, we was once the head, now we the tail. Everywhere Israel was, they have taken over our land, right? We was in Spain, we was in Portugal, we was in Jerusalem, right? They taken everything. Even when we came to America, when we was fleeing from the Roman persecution down into Africa, they went and got us from over there and brought us over here. We slaves. But go ahead.
Moreover, all these curses shall come upon thee.
Oh, no, that's all I need to go down to verse 48. 48.
Verse 48, therefore shalt thou serve thy enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee, in hunger and in thirst and in nakedness and in a want of all things.
Don't we do that today? Even when we want to start a business, we got to go to our enemies to do it. They're going to tax us to do it. Even if you get a job, you going to your enemy, you serving them. They tax the hell out of your money. They tax your money before you get it. They tax it when you buy something, and they tax it when you save your money. Ain't that crazy? Like you done already been taxed for working for this money. Now you putting it into the bank to save it, and they tax you on that. Especially if you get an IRA or something like that, they're going to tax you on that money. Like, that's highway robbery. But let's get into it, man. Let's go to 2nd Ezra 6 and 55. Because we definitely went from Ballin to Beggin. You got it, Doc?
Okay. 2nd Ezra chapter 6, verse 55. All this have I spoken before thee, O Lord, because thou madest the world for our sakes.
Whose sake he made it for?
Our sakes.
Israel, right?
Come.
No, he made it for Edom.
Nah.
He made it for Moab.
No.
He made it for Ammon.
No.
He made it for Ishmael.
No.
He made the world for whose sake?
Our sakes.
He made the world for our sake. So why are we the ones that's begging right now? That's a tough question, right? Because we in a war right now. Our people ain't really fighting back, getting killed. But they starting to understand who their enemy is today because the Most High keep allowing Esau to take us off and pluck us one at a time, right? Even by thousands, because our people are where? In the jailhouses. They say modern day slavery, but we still in chattel slavery because we are paying tribute to our enemies. We're in the land that they stole and they now control unjustly. So with that, let's go to Deuteronomy 7 and 6. Go ahead.
Deuteronomy chapter 7, verse 6. For thou art an holy people unto the Lord thy God.
So we are holy people unto the Most High Yahweh. Go ahead.
The Lord thy God has chosen thee to be a special people unto himself.
He chose Esau?
He hath chosen thee to be a special people unto himself.
No, he chose Ammon.
The Lord thy God has chosen thee to be a special people unto himself.
So he chose the children of Israel to be a special people unto himself. So why is it that we begging today when we got the Most High Yahweh, our power, that controls the world, who created the whole entire universe for us, for our sake? Why are we begging? What'd you say, sis?
You want to get the mic?
You're absolutely right. She said that we were disobedient into the Most High. But we're going to get that. We're going to show how we had dominion over the earth. Let's go to Genesis chapter 1.
We're coming back.
Finish that. Verse 6, and then we go to Genesis 1.
For thou art an holy people unto the Lord thy God. The Lord thy God has chosen thee to be a special people unto himself above all people.
So he said we are above all people. He didn't make the children of Israel equal with everybody. What'd he say?
Above all people
Where?
that are upon the face of the earth.
So he has a special people that he's chosen, and he made Israel, the apple of his eye, above all people that are upon the face of the earth. So the Most High has a favorite nation of people that he chose. So we indeed went from balling to begging, because we begging, we on the bottom. Not only are we begging the Most High for forgiveness, we begging to serve our enemies. It's COVID-19, and they taking people's houses. They going to be taking people out their apartments. Rent is how they doing gentrification. We begging for jobs. We scrambling trying to get work so we don't get put out on our butt, or we don't have to move all out far, somewhere foreign, right? But, man, we begging right now. But let's get that, Genesis 1 and 26, 20 through 28. Because we supposed to be the righteous rulers on top. But right now, we at the bottom.
Genesis chapter 1, verse 26. And God said, let us make man in our image.
So the Most High, he chose the children of Israel. The man he was saying, let us make him in our image, was us. But go ahead.
After our likenesses, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea.
Wait, hold up. They're not supposed to rule anything, right? Because dominion means rulership. That means everything you touch or you can see, you have rulership over it. But go ahead.
And let them have dominion over the fish of the sea and over the fowl of the air.
So even the birds that fly, we're supposed to have dominion over. We're supposed to rule over. Even the fish. But what black men today that you see are out in them fisher boats making a living as we did before? You don't see none today. But what was Simon and Peter's occupation? They were fishermen. So why aren't we fishing today, making a living? Because that's a good living. You 3 to 6 months out on the, huh? Man, yeah, we go to our presence for everything. Because, man, y'all, what was that show about the fishermen? Where they would go out 3 months to 6 months at a time and make deadliest catch, and there was another one. But they would go out 3 to 6 months and be at the sea that long and make a whole living for 2 or 3 years. And the captain will make millions. And his seamen on the boat, his what would you call them? His workermen on the boat, they will make a decent living, making $200,000-300,000 a year in only 6 months' time, 3 months' time, depending on the catch. But that's supposed to be us. But our enemies got everything right now. But go ahead.
And let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth.
Who has the chicken farms? Who has all the pet farms today? Who got the turkey farms? We don't have it. We supposed to have dominion over everything. The world was made for our sake. So we indeed went from Ballin to Beggin, because we don't have what he said we should have. But go ahead.
And over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. So God created man in his own image. In the image of God created he him. Male and female created he them. And God blessed them, and God said unto them.
See, the Most High blessed us. Let's see what he said to us in blessing us. Go ahead.
And God said unto them, be fruitful and multiply.
Like, oh no, he said go to Planned Parenthood and let them kill your babies.
Be fruitful and multiply.
See, Margaret Sanger, they killing our babies. We say Black Lives Matter, but women, y'all killing 300,000 babies a year.
Facts.
So how are we going to replenish the earth when our babies are dying? At our own hands. Our own men have hatred towards their brother and are killing their brothers through gang banging. Right? And I'm going to touch on some other things that we really rarely go into. We got these sororities and these fraternities and these frats. They fraternize amongst each other and don't bring in the normal people. They don't even help the people. The Divine Nine, it's a bunch of them brothers. They say they going out and doing community work, but have you seen a sorority in your neighborhood or a fraternity in your neighborhood over here helping the people? No, I haven't. But it's a lot of them, and they in high positions. They judges, they lawyers, they doctors, they teachers, right? But you don't see them in the hood. That's a curse amongst us. Because we so divided in our nation. You got gangbangers, you got homosexuals, you got people in the sororities, the higher-ups, the elites, so-called. You got rappers, right? And you got people that mess with white folks that think they better than other black folks. Like, what's her name? What's her name? The chick that been making all these. Yeah, Candace Owen. Whoa, self-hate. If I ain't never seen. If self-hate had a face on it, it'd be hers. Because a man don't deserve to die because of his past. He ain't never killed nobody. Yeah, he probably did some wrong, but I'm talking about George Floyd. Yeah, he probably did some wrong, but he don't deserve to die. Trayvon Martin didn't deserve to die, but that's what she talking about. Don't make a criminal a martyr. She made her husband. She made the white folks martyrs, because they the ones stole this country, right? If you want to get fair with it, they stole this country, because America has a law. If you inherit anything stolen, not inherit, but if you received any stolen property and you get caught with it, you are an accessory to crime. Right? So let's talk about the truth. All white people in America, your forefathers came and stole this country. You are an accessory to crime that was committed, because they stole this country through murder, rape, robbery, and deception. right? They broke every last peace treaty with the Native Americans. So if y'all want to talk about being right, let's talk about being right, because this is the situation that we in. We went from Ballin to begging our oppressors to keep us alive, begging our oppressors to give us a job, right? But the Most High said have dominion over the earth. We lost that through sin, y'all. And we're going to show y'all that. Was that all of 28?
Okay.
So let's go to Genesis 2. I want to read 1 through 16.
Genesis chapter 2, verse 1. Thus the heavens and the earth were finished, and all the host of them. And on the seventh day, God ended his work which he had made.
Mm-hmm.
And he
so the Most High ended all his work which he made. Go ahead.
And he rested on the seventh day from all his work which he had made. And God blessed the seventh day and sanctified it, because that in it he had rested from all his work which God created and made. Mm-hmm. These are the generations of heavens and of the earth when they were created. In the day that the Lord God made the earth and the heavens and every plant of the field before it was in the earth, and every herb of the field before it grew, for the Lord God had not caused it to rain upon the earth, and there was not a man to till the ground.
So there was no man to till the ground, but the Most High, he created the earth beautiful and pleasant. As we read in 1 and 26, he told us to be fruitful and multiply and go and replenish the earth, right? Because all the things that he made was given to us, the children of Israel. As we read earlier, the world was made for our sake. But go ahead.
But there went up a mist from the earth and watered the whole face of the ground. And the Lord God formed man of the dust of the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living soul. Mm-hmm. And the Lord God planted a garden eastward in Eden, and there he put the man whom he had formed. And out of the ground made the Lord God to grow every tree that is pleasant to the sight and good for food, the tree of life also in the midst of the garden, and a tree of knowledge of good and evil.
So we're going to find out what that Garden of Eden was, because that was the promised land that the Most High gave to the children of Israel. We were supposed to be ruling this until this very day, but we lost it through sin. We went from Ballin to begging because of our sin, because of our breaking of the covenant with the Most High God. But we're going to get that later, but go ahead.
And a river went out of Eden to water the garden, and from thence it was parted and became into 4 heads.
So now he's going to talk about the 4 heads that watered the Garden of Eden. Man, we didn't have to do nothing. We had it easy. Just go out there, watch the fruits and vegetables grow, and pluck them and eat. But go ahead.
The name of the first is Pison, that is it which compasseth the whole land of Havilah, where there is gold.
Mm-hmm. So there was gold there. What's one of the most precious, the best and precious metal that they talking about today that you can get? It's gold. They killed Gaddafi for trying to take the Africa back to the gold standard, which would have destroyed the American dollar. But go ahead.
And the gold of that land is good. There is bdellium, and the onyx stone. And then
I'm going to tell you what bdellium is. It's what they call myrrh. That's where they get the frankincense and myrrh from, because you can use this also. It also has healing properties for your skin, for your breath. I mean, not your breath, but for your lungs. Yeah. So all of this has a lot of healing properties in it. That's why it says there is bdellium and onyx stone. But go ahead.
And the name of the second river is Gihon. The same is it that compasseth the whole land of Ethiopia. And the name of the third river is Hiddekel. That is it which goeth toward the east of Assyria, and the fourth river of the Euphrates.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
And the Lord God took the man and put him into the Garden of Eden to dress it and to keep it.
So he put us there, man. We was blessed. Didn't have to do much, right? We had these 4 rivers and the mist that would go over the land to water the land. All we had to do was pick and eat. But go ahead.
And the Lord God commanded the man, saying, of every tree of the garden thou mayest freely eat.
He said you could freely eat. We didn't have to do nothing. Just chill and be obedient. But with that, let's go to Genesis 5.
Genesis chapter 5, verse 1. This is the book of the generations of Adam. In the day that God created man, in the likeness of God made he him. Male and female created he them, and blessed them, and called their name Adam in the day when they were created.
So this is the man that he put in the garden. So, and with that, I want to get the garden. I want to go back one. Let's get Genesis 15 and 18 right quick, and then we'll come back to that. Because this was the garden, which it named these rivers. But go ahead, read that.
Genesis chapter 15, verse 18. And that same day the Lord made a covenant with Abram, saying, unto thy seed have I given this land from the river of Egypt unto the great river, the river Euphrates.
So that compassed the whole Garden of Eden. He always gave us that promised land. That land was always ours, but every time we went into sin, it was taken away. But so let's go back to Genesis 5.
Genesis chapter 5, verse 2, male and female created he them, and blessed them, and called their name Adam in the day when they were created. And Adam lived 130 years, and begot a son in his own likeness after his...
So he lived 130 years before he started having kids. Women nowadays start going to a midlife crisis if they ain't having a baby by 26 or 30, right? Or they ain't got no husband, right? They was living a long time. At 130, now you just now having kids? Man, that's a blessing, boy. But go ahead.
And begot a son in his own likeness after his image, and called his name Seth. And the days of Adam after he had begotten Seth were 800 years, and he begot sons and daughters.
Now he 800 years in. Man, long life, longevity, right? And you having kids at that age, but go ahead.
And all the days that Adam lived were 930 years, and he died.
He almost lived 1,000 years, bro. That's a long time to be blessed, right? To not have to beg and want for anything. You can just pray to the Most High and he give it to you. Or you could just go in your garden and just freely eat. Nobody messing with you, right? Man, that's a blessing right there, but go ahead.
And Seth lived 105 years and begot Enos. And Seth lived, after he begot Enos, 807 years.
So his children had the same blessing, living 800 years. That's a long time up on the earth, right? We 20, 30, 40 now, like, dang, man, it's toe up here. This ain't the way to live. We got chemtrails. White man poison the food. We poison the water, right? They unjustly treat us here, police us wrongfully, right? Man, but it's hard here now, but go ahead.
And begot sons and daughters, and all the days of Seth were 912 years, and he died.
Man, he lived a long time too, but go ahead.
And Enos lived 90 years and begot Canaan. And Enos lived after he begot Canaan 815 years and begot sons and daughters.
So because the children of Israel weren't sinning, they were living a long time, right? And that's a blessing, but go ahead.
And all the days of Enos were 905 years, and he died. And Canaan lived 70 years and begot Mahalaleel. And Canaan lived after he begot Mahalaleel 840 years and begot sons and daughters. And all the days of Canaan were 910 years, and he died. And Mahalaleel lived 65 years and begot Jared. And Mahalaleel lived after he begot Jared 830 years and begot sons and daughters. And all the days of Mahalaleel were 895 years, and he died. And Jared lived 162 years, and he begot Enoch. And Jared lived after he begot Enoch 800 years, and he begot sons and daughters.
So, man, the children of Israel are living a long, blessed life. But go ahead, man, keep going. Because we're going to read all the way to 32, because we got to get into Noah. But go ahead.
Verse 20, and all the days of Jared were 962 years, and he died. And Enoch lived 65 years and begot Methuselah. And Enoch walked with God after he begot Methuselah 300 years and begot sons and daughters. And all the days of Enoch were 365 years, and Enoch walked with God, and he was not, for God took him. Mm-hmm. And Methuselah lived 187 years and begot Lamech. Mm-hmm. And Methuselah lived after he begat Melech 782 years and begot sons and daughters. And all the days of Methuselah were 969 years, and he died. And Lamech lived 182 years and begot a son. And he called his name Noah, saying, this same shall comfort us concerning our work and toil of our hands, because of the ground which the Lord had cursed.
As you can see, the children of Israel were living long and prosperous lives. No worries, right? But go ahead, man. We're going to get into it.
And Lamech lived after he begot Noah 595 years and begat sons and daughters. And all the days of Lamech were 777 years, and he died. Mm-hmm. And Noah was 500 years old, and Noah begat Shem, Ham, and Japheth.
So Shem, Ham, and Japheth is getting ready to come up on the scene. But as you can see, our forefathers lived long, prosperous lives. Go ahead.
Genesis chapter 6, verse 1. And it came to pass, when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born unto them, that the sons of God saw the daughters of men, that they were fair, and they took them wives of all which they chose. And the Lord said, my spirit shall not always strive with man.
So why did the Most High say his spirit will not always strive with men? Because the Most High, he knew what was going to happen. He said, I tell the end from the beginning and the beginning from the end. So he knew that the children of Israel were eventually going to sin. That's why he said his spirit will not always strive with men. But go ahead.
For that he also is flesh, yet his days shall be 120 years.
So then he shortened the lifespan of a man, knowing that the children of Israel are going to be wicked. Because living a long life and you just doing constant wickedness, the cycle will continue over and over and over for a long time, like our brothers do now. Especially the ones that's in the gangbanging. The young kids come up, and they inherit the sins of their uncles, their fathers, their homeboys by joining these gangs, because now they hating another group of his own people for no reason, right? And now they take on that hate. And if they continue to live, they teach that to their kids, and they teach that to their kids. So it's a generation of mess-ups after mess-ups after mess-up after mess-up, and now we're trying to get it right, right? So the Most High is like, I'm going to shorten these days up. But you read all the three?
Yeah.
All right, go down to verse 7 now, 7 through 13. Go ahead.
Verse 7, and the Lord said, I will destroy man whom I have created from
So he was going to destroy man because they became so wicked on the face of the earth. That's why he shortened the days. But go ahead.
From the face of the earth, both man and beast, and the creeping thing, and the fowls of the air, for it repented me that I have made them.
So read verse 5 to see why it repented them.
Verse 5, and God saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every imagination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually.
Man, that's a lot of hate, right? Like today, a lot of people, their hearts are evil continuously. And the worst ones are the ones that's in the church on Sunday. Because they be teaching lies, lying on God, turning Jesus Christ into a jukebox. Pay your tithes and you're going to get blessed. And the Most High ain't even there. But Satan is there. They be speaking in bootleg tongues and all that. Bewitching the people. That's bad, right? Because they be the ones, they go out, compel gangbangers, compel sinners and all that to come in. But they make them even worse than what they was before. But go ahead.
Verse 8, but Noah found grace in the eyes of the Lord.
So Noah found grace in the eyes of the Most High. Because the Most High was going to destroy the whole earth and everybody in it. But go ahead.
These are the generations of Noah. Noah was a just man and perfect in his generations.
So you know, they be saying, can't nobody be perfect. But Noah was perfect before even Christ came. And he was a just man. But go ahead.
And Noah walked with God.
He walked with who?
He walked with God.
Sinners?
With God.
Satan?
With God.
He walked with the Most High Yahweh. But go ahead.
And Noah begot 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. The earth also was corrupt before God, and the earth was filled with violence.
So as we going to find out later on, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, they came up after Noah, and they became their own nations. But go ahead.
And God looked upon the earth, and behold, it was corrupt, for all the flesh had corrupted his way upon the earth. And God said unto Noah, the end of all flesh is come before me, for the earth is filled with violence through them.
So the earth was filled with violence through wicked men. But go ahead.
And behold, I will destroy them with the earth. Make thee an ark of gopher wood, room shalt thou make in the ark, and shall pitch it within and without with pitch.
So the Most High was going to destroy everybody on the face of the earth. So let's go to chapter 7 and 1 now. Because now we see how we went from balling to begging for life. Just that fast, right? But go ahead.
Genesis chapter 7, verse 1. And the Lord said unto Noah, come thou and all thy house into the ark, for thee have I seen righteous before me in this generation. Of every clean beast thou shalt take to thee by 7s, the male and his female.
How many beasts?
7 beasts.
Because in the bootleg church, they only tell you 2, right? 2 clean. This is the first charter boat to sail the 7 seas right here. Most I like, man, make this ark. You and all your family going to get in it. And it's going to be 7 clean beasts. Which they tell you that's a lie. So if they telling your children, oh, it's only 2 clean beasts, they lying on God right there. Because he says 7, right? But go ahead.
Of every clean beast thou shalt take to thee by 7s, the male and his female, and of beasts that are not clean by 2, the male and his female.
So only the unclean beasts were brought by 2s. Because what was important to the Most High? He said, I need the clean beasts to replenish before the unclean beasts do. Because the clean beasts were used for eating, right? They were used for clothing, right? But go ahead.
Of fowls of the air by 7s, the male and the female, to keep seed alive upon the face of all the earth.
Go ahead.
For yet 7 days, and I will cause it to rain upon the earth 40 days and 40 nights, and every living substance that I have made will I destroy from off the face of the earth. And Noah did according unto all that the Lord commanded him. And Noah was 600 years old when a flood of waters was upon the earth.
So Noah was 600. But the Most High already said that everybody else is going to be, the day is going to be shortened to 120, right? That's only because Noah was a righteous man. And he had to bring forth righteous seed. But go ahead.
Verse 7, and Noah went in, and his sons and his wife and his sons' wives with him into the ark because of the waters of the flood.
Go ahead.
Of clean beasts and of beasts that are not clean, and of fowls and of everything that creepeth upon the earth, there went in two and two unto Noah into the ark, the male and the female, as God had commanded Noah.
Yeah. Go ahead, Art.
Verse 10, and it came to pass after 7 days that the waters of the flood were upon the earth, and in the 600th year of Noah's life, in the 2nd month, the 17th day of the month, the same day were all the fountains of the great deep broken up, and the windows of heaven were open.
So all the water from under the ground and the oceans, everything, the Most High just opened it up. So it was water everywhere. You couldn't see the face of the earth. But go ahead, read all the way to 13.
Verse 12, and the rain was upon the earth 40 days and 40 nights, and the selfsame day entered Noah and Shem and Ham and Japheth, the sons of Noah, and Noah's wife, and the 3 wives of his sons with them into the ark.
So everybody that didn't believe Noah, they got destroyed in the flood. They didn't want to repent because he was preaching, telling them to repent while he building the ark. But they didn't want to listen. So our people went from Ballin to being destroyed that fast. So with that, let's go.
Real quick. Going back to verse 2, when it says, of every clean beast thou shalt take to thee by 7s, the male and his female, and of the beasts that are not clean by 2, the male and his female. I remember watching this movie back in the day. It was a movie called Evan Almighty. It came out in, 2007, when you had an actor by the name of Steve Carell. He played the role of Evan Baxter. And in that movie, he played Noah in that movie, right? And it just shows you how, wicked Esau is, because in that movie, he brought two of he only brought two of every animal into that ark. And when the scriptures say the clean animals by 7 and the unclean animals by 2, and if you watch that movie, it only shows that the actor, he brought 2 of every animal into that ark, and not by 7. That just shows you, the wickedness of Esau right there.
Yep, absolutely. Let's go to Genesis 9. I want 1 through 15. Because we're going to show how the covenant was reestablished between the Most High and his people. But go ahead.
Genesis chapter 9, verse 1, and God blessed Noah and his sons and said unto them, be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth.
So he told them again, be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth. Have babies. Sow your royal oats, right? Because he gave us dominion over the earth, right? But go ahead.
And the fear of you and the dread of you shall be upon every beast of the earth and upon every fowl of the air.
We supposed to be scared of dogs. Scared
and
of spiders.
And the fear of you and the dread of you shall be upon every beast of the earth and upon every fowl of the air, upon all that moveth upon the earth, and upon all the fishes of the sea. Into your hand are they delivered.
So we're supposed to be rulers over everything, not scared of nothing. But through fear, we're scared of everything. But go ahead.
Every moving thing that liveth shall be meat for you, even as the green herb have I given you all things.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead, Art.
But flesh with the life thereof, which is the blood thereof, shall you not eat.
So that's one of the laws that he said. You're not supposed to eat the flesh with the blood. You're supposed to drain all the blood out, cook it, and eat it, right? But go ahead.
And surely your blood of your lives will I require. At the hand of every beast will I require it. Mm-hmm. And at the hand of man, at the hand of every man's brother will I require the life of man.
Mm-hmm. So he said at the life of... Wait, read that one more time.
And surely your blood of lives will I require.
Yeah. All right, go ahead.
At the hand of every beast will I require it, and at the hand of man, at the hand of every man's brother will I require the life of man.
Mm-hmm.
Whoso sheddeth man's blood, by man shall his blood be shed.
So this is one of the things we be begging for. Who killing us today? The police, right? Esau, right? Predominantly, right? He said, at the hand of every man that kills a man, he shall be killed, right? It says, whosoever sheddeth man's blood, by man shall his blood be shed. So what do we be waiting on as the children of Israel when we get killed unjustly? Because God gave the law, right? Like I said, the people who stole this country now rule this country unjustly. But because they do so, and we don't follow God's commandments, we don't listen to this law, and we don't get justice. We get Black Lives Matter that twist the African American struggle and turn it into a homosexual sexual preference struggle. That's crazy, right? But that's what they do. When God gave the law right here, we didn't have to beg for nothing. If it was done, the Most High already said it, and we go and carry out the sentence. But go ahead.
For in the image of God made he man, and you be ye fruitful and multiply, bring forth abundantly in the earth and multiply therein.
So he said, had them babies. But our babies are getting killed. Planned Parenthood, Margaret Sanger, a.k.a. African American women, having abortions by the 3,000s every year. Our children are begging for their life and can't even get it before they get out the womb. And our brothers are allowing these women to do it too. That's the sad part about it. Going, these women had a seed. Man, kill that baby. That ain't mine. Lead a woman. And the woman, just as evil as him, she go and perform that death, killing that innocent life. But go ahead.
And God spake unto Noah and to his sons with him, saying, and I, behold, I establish my covenant with you and with your seed after you.
So the Most High, he reestablished the covenant. After we were in rulership and our people sinned, now he like, man, I'm going to have somebody else. I'm going to reestablish this covenant. As we read and we find out, the children of Israel constantly broke God's commandments. We constantly went into captivity. We constantly went into struggle and constantly started begging all over again for our life, for our rights. Same thing we do here today. The scriptures tell you, ain't nothing new under the sun. Everything that happened before is happening now. But now we have a chance to get it right because we have the manuscripts. We have the true understanding of what thus saith the Lord and how to keep his laws, his statutes, and his covenant and please him. Because that's the only way we're going to get back into our rightful place, our rightful land of ownership, of dominion. But go ahead.
And with every living creature that is with you, of the fowl, of the cattle, and of every beast of the earth with you, from all that go out of the ark to every beast of the earth, and I will establish my covenant with you, neither shall all flesh be cut off any more by the waters of a flood, neither shall there any more be a flood to destroy the earth.
Go ahead, because I want to.
And God said, this is the token of the covenant which I had made, which I make between me and you and every living creature that is with you for perpetual generations.
So he said this is the covenant for perpetual generations. Because there's a group of people now, they take this and they destroy it. Go ahead, read.
I do set my bow in the cloud.
So the rainbow with all its beautiful colors in it. You have a group called homosexual LGBT / Black Lives Matter today. They destroy this covenant and they mock God with it. But go ahead.
I do set my bow in the cloud.
Which is the rainbow. Y'all see after it rain, y'all see that rainbow from one end of the earth to the next. But go ahead.
And it shall be for a token of a covenant between me and the earth.
See? We didn't have to beg for nothing. The Most High put his covenant out there for us to look at it and see it, right? But go ahead.
And it shall come to pass when I bring a cloud over the earth, that the bow shall be seen in the cloud. And I will remember my covenant, which is between me and you and every living creature of all flesh. And the water shall no more become a flood to destroy all flesh.
So he said this is going to be the token between me and man. When have we ever again had a major flood that killed thousands, millions of people? He haven't, because after it rained, you see his promise in the sky. People are like, oh, there ain't no God. The bow is right here in the scriptures to show you that there's the Most High. There is a creator, and he put that there. Because if not, it'll be floods everywhere. The people be destroyed all the time, right? But the Most High said he put that bow in the sky. It's not for gay rights and all that. It's not to be used to mock the Most High. But our people are doing that, and that's causing the people to be beggars, causing the world to go into more mischief and more sin through the wickedness. So with that, let's get Genesis 10. Let's start at 1.
Genesis chapter 10, verse 1.
So this is the nations, how they were separated and created after their kind. Go ahead.
Now these are the generations of the sons of Noah, Shem, Ham, and Japheth.
So these are the nations that came with Noah, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Go ahead.
And unto them were sons born after the flood, the sons of Japheth, Gomer, and Magog, and Madai, and Ivan, and Tubal.
So here you have the earth being replenished, right? So let's skip that. We're going to go on to chapter 11. I want verse 10, and then go down to verse 22.
Genesis chapter 11, verse 10. These are the generations of Shem. Shem was 100 years old and begat Arphaxad 2 years after the flood.
So Shem had children, which came the children of Israel. We're going to get the bloodline all the way to Jacob, which is us now. We are the seed of Jacob. So go to verse 22.
Verse 22. And Serug lived 30 years and begot Nahor. And Serug lived after he begot Nahor 200 years and begot sons and daughters. And Nahor lived 29 years and begot Terah.
Terah, which is Abram's father, right? But go ahead.
And Nahor lived after he begot Terah 119 years and begot sons and daughters. And Terah lived 70 years and begot Abram, Nahor, and Haran. These are the generations of Terah. Terah begot Abram, Nahor, and Haran begot Lot.
Mm-hmm. So this was Abram. We're going to see what happened to Abram after Tahar, because Abram was the one that was given the blessing. Let's go to Genesis 12, 1 through 3.
Genesis chapter 12, verse 1. Now the Lord had said unto Abram, get thee out of thy country and from thy kindred and from thy father's house into a land that I will show thee.
So the Most High, he set Abram apart from everyone else, because everyone else was going into their wickedness again. So the Most High is like, you know what? I'm going to preserve another righteous seed so the children of Israel can continue. Go ahead.
And I will make of thee a great nation, and I will bless thee and make thy name great, and thou shalt be a blessing. So
we're going to find out that great nations came from Abram, which later his name was changed to Abraham. Go ahead.
And I will bless them that bless thee, and curse them that curse thee.
So if everyone today was blessing the true children of Israel, do y'all know that the land will be in peace right now? But we not being blessed. We being cursed. So the earth is being cursed. It's out of course. But go ahead, finish reading.
And I will bless them that bless thee, and curse them that curse thee, and in thee shall all families of the earth be blessed.
So I want to show y'all one thing too, because Abraham was rich. He was a rich man because the Most High blessed him. Let's get 13, 1 through 41.
Genesis chapter 13, verse 1. And Abram went up out of Egypt, he and his wife, and all that he had, and Lot with him into the south. And Abram was very rich in cattle.
So he was rich in what?
In cattle, in silver, and in gold.
So he had all these things. Go ahead.
And he went on his journeys from the south, even to Bethel, unto the place where his tent had been at the beginning, between Bethel and Hai.
So here you have Abram being a rich man. Let's get Genesis 14. I want chapter 14, verse 13 through 14.
Genesis chapter 14, verse 13. And there came one that had escaped and told Abram the Hebrew, for he dwelt in the plain of Mamre, the Amorite, brother of Eshcol, and brother of Aner, and these were confederate with Abram.
So I want to show y'all why the one came that escaped. But hold that, I'm going to read it. And it came to pass in the days of Aramphel, king of Shinar, Ariak, king of Elazar, Kedorel, king of Elam, and Tidal, king of nations, that these made war with Barak, king of Sodom, and with Barak, king of Gomorrah. So there was a war going on, and Abraham, he was caught in between it. So go back to verse 13.
Verse 13, and there came one that had escaped and told Abram the Hebrew, for he dwelt in the plain of Mamre, the Amorite, brother of Eshcol, and brother of Aner, and these were confederate with Abram.
So they was confederate with Abraham. So let's see how rich Abraham was. Go ahead.
And when Abram heard that his brother was taken captive, he armed his trained servants.
So Abraham had trained servants. Let's see how many he had, because they made a movie after this too. We always say it was about Gideon, but let's see how many men Abraham had as well. Go ahead.
He armed his trained servants, born in his own house, 318, and pursued them into Dan.
So he had 318 trained servants. He was rich in cattle, and he had men under him that was working for him, servants ready to go put in work for him. That's rich. We was balling, right? Because ain't we the seed of Abraham? We didn't have to worry about nothing. When things happen, we can go to war right here with our enemies. But today, man, we go to war, we get killed. Because we failed to obey the Most High's God covenant. Keep his laws. We want to follow after every nation and be like them, which every time we did it, it destroyed us as a nation. So with that, let's go to Genesis 17, because we're going to speed it up a little bit. Let's see who the blessing continuously went to. Genesis chapter 17, 18 through 21.
Genesis chapter 17, verse 18, and Abram said unto God, oh, that Ishmael might live before thee.
See, Abraham had a son, but the Most High wasn't worried about him, because that son became the Ishmaelites, which are the Arabs. Go ahead.
And God said, Sarah thy wife shall bear thee a son indeed, and thou shalt call his name Isaac.
His name was called Isaac. He wasn't worried about Ishmael, but go ahead.
And I will establish my covenant with him for an everlasting covenant.
See, everybody be talking about everybody can be saved. John 3:16. Nah, John 3:16. Christ, Yahweh only came for the 12 tribes of the children of Israel, whom God, the Most High Yahweh, made his covenant with. Not everybody, not the whole world. The whole world does not need to be saved. The so-called African Americans, Latinos, which that's a language and not a nation, and the Aboriginal people of America, which is the Native Americans, these are the people that need to be saved. They have an army, but their army is disannulled. It's weak. Other nations came over here to America, killed them. The other nations, which is Esau, went to Africa when the children of Israel were in refuge during the 1600s and brought them to the Americas and enslaved both the northern and the southern kingdom together. So John 3:16 does not apply to all nations. It only applied to the children of Israel, and you can get that in Luke. But go ahead.
And I will establish my covenant with him for an everlasting covenant, and with his seed after him.
Which that was Isaac's seed. Go ahead.
And as for Ishmael, I have heard thee. Behold, I have blessed him, and will make him fruitful, and will multiply him exceedingly. 12 princes shall he beget, and I will make him a great nation.
So as you can see, Ishmael is a great nation today. Everybody flocked to Dubai. All the rappers, all the singers, all the actresses and actors. Even America go and try to steal their oil as well. So they're sitting pretty right now. They don't have anything to worry about. And they come to America and open all the 7-Elevens and run damn near all the gas stations. But go ahead.
But my covenant will I establish with Isaac.
See, the covenant was with Isaac. Go ahead.
which Sarah shall bear unto thee at this set time in the next year.
So this happened. But so let's go. Genesis 24 and 67. We're going to fast forward. Because as you can see, the children of Israel, they was balling. They didn't have want for anything. Go ahead. Genesis 24, 67.
Genesis chapter 24, verse 67. And Isaac brought her into his mother Sarah's tent and took Rebekah, and she became his wife.
See, this is Rebekah became his wife. And who did she conceive?
And he loved her, and Isaac was comforted after his mother's death.
So let's see who Rebekah had as children. Genesis 25.
Genesis chapter 25, verse 25. And the first came out red all over like a hairy garment.
Which that was Esau. Go ahead.
And they called his name Esau. And after that came his brother out, and his hand took hold on Esau's heel, and his name was called Jacob.
So Jacob is who the seed, the blessing is going to continue through. Let's get Genesis 26, 1 through 5.
Genesis chapter 26, verse 1. And there was a famine in the land besides the first famine that was in the days of Abraham. And Isaac went into Abimelech, king of the Philistines, unto Gerar. And the Lord appeared unto him and said, Go not down into Egypt. Dwell in the land which I shall tell thee of.
See, the Most High was always with the children of Israel. He was always with the Hebrews. Go ahead.
Sojourn in this land, and I will be with thee, and will bless thee. For unto thee and unto thy seed I will give all these countries, and I will perform the oath which I swear unto Abraham thy father.
So his blessing was always with the children of Israel. And he said, I'm going to bless your seed also. He said, everything that I gave to you, I'm going to give to your seed. Which I gave to their fathers, I'm going to give to your seed. But go ahead.
And I will make thy seed to multiply as the stars of heaven, and will give unto thy seed all these countries, and in thy seed shall all the nations of the earth be blessed.
Why?
Because that Abraham obeyed my voice and kept my charge, my commandments, my statutes, and my laws.
Because he kept the law. He did what the Most High said do. He didn't disobey him. Same thing today. All we got to do is obey the Most High, and he'll supply us with everything. But we want to go to our enemies and follow their laws, follow their statutes, follow their gods, and praise their gods, and think we're getting blessed. Our people in the bootleg church be speaking all kind of tongues, getting presents from Satan, and thinking it's the Most High God. When have you seen a pastor leave the church and go pray for the people during COVID-19? When have you seen a pastor leave his church and go out, march and protest and be amongst the people? You haven't. They in church every Sunday, but they got them cash apps, they got Venmo, all of this, saying, send me them tithes. I still need that. Even though I ain't doing nothing for you during the pandemic, I still need that bread. But that's a curse, because we went away from the Most High God's law, statutes, and his covenant. We went from Ballin to begging the wrong people for life, and they taking it. So with that, was that all of 5? Let's go to Genesis 27. I want 28 through 30, because Jacob was to get the blessing. It was going to continue in him now. Go ahead.
Genesis chapter 27, verse 28. Therefore, God give thee of the dew of heaven, and the fatness of the earth, and plenty of the corn and wine. Let people serve thee. And
so here, I'm going to give you a little backstory, because this was Isaac. He was blessing Jacob. He was supposed to give the blessing to Esau, but Esau sold his birthright unto Jacob. But go ahead.
Let the people serve thee, and nations bow down to thee. Be Lord over thy brethren, and let thy mother's sons bow down to thee. Cursed be every one that curseth thee, and blessed be he that blesseth thee.
See, he said it all over again. Didn't we read that earlier? Everybody that curses going to be cursed. Everybody that blesses going to be blessed. But go ahead.
And it came to pass, as soon as Isaac had made an end of blessing Jacob, and Jacob was yet scarce gone out from the presence of Isaac his father, that Esau his brother came in from his hunting.
So Jacob got the blessing that was sold unto him. So now we're going to fast forward it. Let's go to the, because Israel had 42 kings. Some did righteous and some did wrong, which I'm going to show y'all. Because they always say, oh man, we started in slavery. We didn't start in slavery. But we enslaved right now to our enemies because of our disobedience. But let's get some of the kings. Let's go to 1 Samuel 8. I want 1 through 20. Because Israel pleaded for a king to be just like all the other nations, which we had a king, which was the Most High. So let's go to 1 Samuel chapter 8. I want 1 through 20.
First Samuel chapter 8, verse 1. And it came to pass, when Samuel was old, that he made his sons judges over Israel. Now the name of his firstborn was Joel, and the name of his second, Abiah. They were judges in Beersheba, and his sons walked not in his ways, but turned aside after lucre.
So his sons turned aside after lucre, which is money. They took bribes. They took payment for things. But go ahead.
And took bribes and perverted judgment.
So they wasn't giving out correct judgment at all times. Oh, man, shoot, what you do? You committed fornication? Oh, man, slide me some money, man. I won't say nothing. You good? Which we're going to show you. I'm going to show you they did that in the New Testament. You had the scribes and the Pharisees. They brought a woman in adultery. How you going to catch her in adultery, but you don't bring the man? But go ahead.
Then all the elders of Israel gathered themselves together and came to Samuel unto Ramah and said unto him, Behold, thou art old, and thy sons walk not in thy ways. Now make us a king to judge us like all the nations. So
we didn't have to be like the other nations. Because when our people wanted to be like the other nations, every time it displeased the Lord. It displeased the Most High. But go ahead.
But the thing displeased Samuel when they said, Give us a king to judge us. And Samuel prayed unto the Lord. And the Lord said unto Samuel, Hearken unto the voice of the people in all that they say unto thee, for they have not rejected thee, but they have rejected me.
So the children of Israel have rejected the Most High. Now he's going to give us the consequences for rejecting him. We had everything. He gave us the world. It was created for our sake. We didn't need to be like the other nations. But every time we wanted to be like the other nations, it definitely hurt us. Go ahead.
That I should not reign over them, according to all the works which they have done since the day that I have brought them up out of Egypt, even unto this day, wherewith they have forsaken me and served other gods, so do they also unto thee. Now therefore, hearken unto their voice, howbeit, yet protest solemnly unto them, and show them the manner of the king that shall reign over them.
So now he's going to show them how a man is to rule over them as a king. They're not going to rule over you like the Most High would. Because what does a king require? Servants, handmaids, people to do work for him, right? At first we was doing work, but it was for the people, and we was giving it to the Most High. Now you got to give it to this one man. What they say about power? Absolute power corrupts, right? Every time one of our kings, they always went off. But go ahead.
Verse 10, And Samuel told all the words of the Lord unto the people that asked of him a king. And he said, This will be the manner of the king that shall reign over you. He will take your sons.
He's going to take your sons. Now, you can't even have your son always like you want, right? But go ahead.
And appoint them for himself for his chariots and to be his horsemen, and some shall run before his chariots. Mm-hmm. And he will appoint him captains over thousands and captains over 50s, and will set them to ear his ground and to reap his harvest,
So they're going to work his gardens for him when your kids could have been at home working your garden. Go ahead.
and to make his instruments of war and instruments of chariots.
So now your children have to fight for this man and not fight for their own family. When the Most High was doing that, right? But go ahead.
And he will take your daughters to be confectionaries and to be cooks,
So your daughters got to go cook and slave in the king's quarters. They can't be at home to help you when you need it, right? Because what did the kings always do? They took the fair and beautiful women. They were the servants of the kings. They were the workers of the kings, right? But go ahead.
and to be bakers. And he will take your fields and your vineyards and your olive yards, even the best of them, and give them to his servants.
So what you wanted was good for you. Now his servants need that. I got to take care of my men with your goods. It's the manner of kings. But go ahead.
And he will take the tenth of your seed and of your vineyards and give to his officers and to his servants. And he will take your men servants and your maidservants and your goodliest young men and your asses and put them to his work.
So now your your children has to work for this king. Well, go ahead.
He will take the tenth of your sheep, and ye shall be his servants. And ye shall cry out in that day because of your king, which ye shall have chosen you, and the Lord will not hear you
He
in
said,
that
I ain't
day.
going to hear you. When your king do you wrong, because this is what you chose over me. When he do you wrong, I'm not going to hear you. You deal with that man. That's what y'all wanted. Y'all wanted to be like the other nations. We was balling. We didn't have no one man ruling over us. We had the Most High, and we didn't have to serve our own brothers like this. But because we wanted a king, we had to serve our own brothers in a way that we didn't have to, because we wanted to be like the other nations. But go ahead.
Verse 19, nevertheless, the people refused to obey the voice of Samuel, and they said, nay, but we will have a king over us.
So after all this, Samuel pleading with the people, they was like, nah, we still want a king. But go ahead.
That we also may be like all the nations, and that our king may judge us and go out before us and fight our battles.
So they said they specifically wanted to be like the other nations, which we didn't have to be like the other nations. Ain't that cold, y'all? That's cold. But let's go here right quick. We're going to try to speed it up too. Let's go to 1 Samuel 9, 16 and 17.
1 Samuel chapter 9, verse 16, tomorrow about this time I will send thee a man out of the land of Benjamin, and thou shalt anoint him to be captain over my people Israel.
You see how cold the Most High was? Because y'all know the story of Benjamin, right? Benjamin was the nation that committed fornication with another man's wife, and they had sex with her until she died, and then they didn't want to repent. So all of Israel went to war with Benjamin, and damn near made Benjamin extinct. So the Most High, like, you know what? Y'all want to be like that? The Most High smart. I'm gonna pick a servant of the man of the nation that y'all swear that y'all didn't like no more. But go ahead.
And thou shalt anoint him to be captain over my people Israel, that he may save my people out of the hand of the Philistines. For I have looked upon my people, because their cry is come unto me. Mm-hmm. And when Samuel saw Saul, the Lord said unto him, behold, the man whom I spake to thee of, this same shall reign over my people.
So we're going to see. Saul was to reign over the children of Israel because they rejected him. Let's get chapter 10, verse 18 and 19.
Chapter 10, verse 18, and said unto the children of Israel, thus said the Lord God of Israel, I brought up Israel out of Egypt.
So the Most High was their king. He was like, man, I brought y'all out of Egypt. No man did that, but go ahead.
And delivered you out of the hand of the Egyptians, and out of the hand of all kingdoms, and of them that oppressed you. And ye have this day rejected your God, who himself saved you out of all your adversaries, out of your adversities and your habitations,
Tribulations.
and tribulations. And ye have said unto him, Nay, but set a king over us. Now therefore present yourselves before the Lord by your tribes and by your thousands.
So he's like, do this.
And when Samuel had caused all the tribes of Israel to come near, the tribe of Benjamin was taken. When he had caused the tribe of Benjamin to come near by their families, the family of Matri was taken, and Saul of the son
Let's
of...
go to 1 Samuel 11, 14 and 15.
1 Samuel chapter 11, verse 14. Then Samuel to the people, come and let us go to Gilgal and renew the kingdom there.
So the kingdom was being renewed, and we're going to see who became king.
And all the people went to Gilgal, and there they made Saul king before the Lord in Gilgal, and there they sacrificed sacrifices of peace offerings before the Lord, and there Saul and all the men of Israel rejoiced greatly.
So they rejoiced greatly because Saul became their king, but also Saul became their downfall as well, which we're going to get. Let's go to chapter 12.
Chapter 12, verse 1, and Samuel said unto all Israel,
Chapter 12 and verse 12.
1 Samuel chapter 12, verse 12, and when ye saw that Nahash, the king of the children of Ammon, came against you, ye said unto me, Nay, but a king shall reign over us, when the Lord your God was your king.
So the Most High God, he was like, I was your king. Right? So he's like, no, that's your king now. But go ahead.
Now therefore, behold, the king whom ye have chosen, and whom ye have desired, and behold, the Lord has set a king over you.
Mm-hmm. Verse 14.
If ye will fear the Lord, and serve him, and obey his voice, and not rebel against the commandment of the Lord, then shall both ye and also the king that reigneth over you continue following the Lord your God.
So the children of Israel choosing a king to be over them, it came with a condition. The children of Israel could not sin against the Most High, or the king could not sin against the Most High. For if so, the children of Israel will be in trouble, which we're going to get. Let's go to 1 Samuel 13, 1 through 14.
1 Samuel chapter 13.
Here you're going to see that Saul caused the children of Israel to sin. Go ahead.
1 Samuel chapter 13, verse 1, Saul reigned 1 year, and when he had reigned 2 years over Israel, Saul chose him 3,000 men of Israel, whereof 2,000 were with Saul in Michmash and in Mount Bethel, and 1,000 were with Jonathan in Gibeah of Benjamin, and the rest of the people he sent every man to his tent.
So Jonathan was Saul's son, but go ahead.
And Jonathan smote the garrison of the Philistine that was in Geba, and the Philistines heard of it, and Saul blew the trumpet throughout all the land, saying, Let the Hebrews hear. And all Israel heard say that Saul had smitten a garrison of the Philistines, and that Israel also was had in abomination of the Philistines, and the people were called together after Saul to Gilgal.
So they went to war with the Philistines, but go ahead.
And the Philistines gathered themselves together to fight with Israel, 30,000 chariots and 6,000 horsemen, and people as the sand which is on the sea shore in multitude. And they came up and pitched in Michmash eastward from Bethaven.
So y'all see one of the curses that we had to endure now because we wanted a king over us? When the Most High delivered us out of Egypt, we didn't have to fight at all. But now because we want a king to be like the other nations, now we have to fight. The Most High going to go with us, but we got to fight our own battles.
That's just like our people today voting for a president, or want to elect somebody to rule over them instead of Christ. That's like the same thing.
Same thing. You want man to rule over you, you're going to have man fight for you. And y'all going to have to go with that man to fight as well. I'm not going to deliver you right now. Not the way I would do it. You're going to have to do it as the way the other nations would deliver their people. So that was also one of the curses that we had to endure by having a king. But go ahead.
Verse 6, when the men of Israel saw that they were in a strait, for the people were distressed, then the people did hid themselves in caves, and in thickets, and in rocks, and in high places, and in pits. And some of the Hebrews went over Jordan to the land of Gad and Gilead. As for Saul, he was yet in Gilgal, and all the people followed him trembling.
So our people were scared. They like, man, we got to go to war now. But go ahead.
And some of the Hebrews went over Jordan in the land of Gad and Gilead. As for Saul, he was yet in Gilgal, and all the people followed him trembling. And he tarried 7 days, according to the set time that Samuel had appointed. But Samuel came not to Gilgal, and the people were scattered from him.
But go ahead.
And the people were scattered from him. And Saul said, bring hither a burnt offering to me, and peace offerings. And he offered that burnt offering.
So here you have Saul allowing regular people to put forth the burnt offering before the Most High. This was a sin. Because who were to put forth the burnt offerings to the Most High? The priests and the Levites. These men were not priests and they were not Levites. They were not in this position, which caused the children of Israel to sin right here. And this was our downfall from right here. From choosing the king to be like the other people, now the king, he makes a mistake, which cost the whole nation. But go ahead.
Verse 10, and it came to pass that as soon as he made an end of offering the burnt offering, behold, Samuel came, and Saul went out to meet him, that he might salute him. And Samuel said, what hast thou done? And Saul said, because I saw that the people were scattered from me, and that thou comest not within the days appointed, and that the Philistines gathered themselves together to Michmash.
So he was like, the people were scared. I needed to bring them in somehow. You know how you got congregations be lying about that 12-tribe chart? Oh, man, we got to give them something to believe in. Knowing damn well that chart is a lie, it's deceptive, and it's deceiving to the people. You're going to teach them this lie anyway? Ain't no different than what he did right here. Man, I had to put forth the offering to bring the people in. They were scared. They was hiding. The Philistines was up against us. I had to make them think that the Most High was with us. No, you didn't have to do that. All you had to do was listen and obey, right? But go ahead.
Therefore, said I, the Philistines will come down now upon me to Gilgal, and I have not made supplication unto the Lord. I forced myself, therefore, and offered a burnt offering.
See, he forced himself. Why you just didn't call for Samuel? He was there. But see, these are decisions that we make when the Most High and the people ain't in our best interest. We do things rationally, right? Which ultimately hurt the nation. But go ahead.
And Samuel said to Saul, thou hast done foolishly.
He said, you done foolishly. But go ahead.
Thou hast not kept the commandment of the Lord thy God, which he commanded thee.
What was the condition we gave earlier? That you and your king have to keep the covenant that the Most High made with you. The king, he was the first one that went off. And the people helped him do it. But that's why we begging today. Because we don't want to listen to the Most High. We don't want to listen to the scripts. We don't want to listen to the righteous. We want to listen to do what the wicked say do. Or when the ones that so-called ruling, and we don't double check their work, we fall into mischief too. That's Isaiah 9 and 16 all day. But go ahead.
For now would the Lord have established thy kingdom upon Israel forever. But now thy kingdom shall not continue. The Lord has sought him, a man after his own heart.
He was like, man, your kingdom ain't going to last now. You can't even keep simple laws, bruh. You can't even keep simple laws. But go ahead.
And the Lord had commanded him to be captain over his people, because thou hast not kept that which the Lord commanded thee.
So he appointed somebody else that fast. So with that, let's go to 1 Samuel. 14, 33 through 34. Because here's another way also the people sinned.
First Samuel chapter 14, verse 33. Then they told Saul, saying, Behold, the people sin against the Lord, and that they eat with the blood. And he said, Ye have transgressed. Roll a great stone unto me this day.
Didn't we read earlier that they're not supposed to eat the blood? That was one of the stipulations, man. Our people now eating blood of the animals, of the sacrifice, of the spoils of the other nations. Acting like they didn't have nothing. But go ahead.
And Saul said, Disperse yourselves among the people, and say unto them, Bring me hither every man his ox, and every man his sheep, and slay them here, and eat, and sin not against the Lord in eating with the blood.
So he told them, don't sin in eating with the blood. But because he didn't instruct them earlier, they went on and ate it. Let's drop down to verse 23.
Verse 23, So the Lord saved Israel that day, and battle passed over unto Bethaven.
Go to verse 6 right quick.
Verse 6, And Jonathan said to the young man that bare his armor, Come and let us go over unto the garrison of these uncircumcised. It may be that the Lord will work for us, for there is no restraint to the Lord to save by many or by few.
Because I want to show y'all something, because Jonathan was not there when the people, when his father made a decree, cursed be the one that eat this day. So Saul, he cursed his own son, because his son, he came back and was eating, and the people was like, nah, don't eat, when they saw this honey. So that's another mistake that Saul made. He cursed his own family member. So go ahead.
And his armor bearer said unto him, Do all that is in thy heart, turn thee, behold, I am with thee, according to thy heart. Then said Jonathan, Behold, we will pass over unto these men, and we will discover ourselves unto them. If they say thus unto us, Tarry until we come to you, then we will stand still in our place, and will not go up unto them.
So here you have Jonathan. It was just him and his armor bearer. They went off to make war with the Philistines, and his father didn't know it. But go ahead.
But if they say thus, Come up unto us, then we will go up, for the Lord hath delivered them into our hand, and this shall be a sign unto us.
So let's see what happened. Go ahead.
And both of them discovered themselves unto the garrison of the Philistines, and the Philistines said, Behold, the Hebrews come forth out of the holes where they had hid themselves. And the men of the garrisons answered Jonathan and his armor bearer and said, Come up to us, and we will show you a thing. And Jonathan said unto his armor bearer, Come up after me, for the Lord had delivered them into the hand of Israel.
So now let's skip down to verse 25. 1 Samuel 14 and 25.
Verse 25, And all they of the land came to a wood, and there was honey upon the ground. And when the people were come into the wood, behold, the honey dropped, but no man put his hand to his mouth.
So they already knew what Saul said, but Jonathan didn't. So go ahead, finish reading.
For the people feared the oath. But Jonathan heard not when his father charged the people with the oath. Wherefore he put forth the end of the rod that was in his hand, and dip it in holy honeycomb, and put his hand to his mouth, and his eyes were enlightened.
So he was like, man, I'm grubbing. I got to eat. I'm starving. But go ahead. Let's see what happened.
Then answered one of the people and said, Thy father straitly charged the people with an oath, saying, Cursed be the man that eateth any food this day.
So he cursed his own son. We went from Ballin to begging because we don't, simple instructions that the Most High give, we don't obey him. But go ahead.
And the people were faint. Then said Jonathan, My father have troubled the land. See, I pray you, how my eyes have been enlightened. because I tasted a little of this honey. How much more if happily the people had eaten freely today of the spoil of their enemies which they found, for there not been now a much greater slaughter among the Philistines. And they smote the Philistines that day from Michmash to Aelon, and the people were very faint. And the people flew upon the spoil and took sheep and oxen and calves and slew them on the ground, and the people did eat them with the blood.
So they was eating like cannibals, which they not supposed to eat the blood, which is in Leviticus 3:17. But let's skip down to 15. Let's go to chapter 15, 1 through 23. We're going to skip through because it's 9 o'clock now.
Samuel chapter 15, verse 1. Samuel also said unto Saul, the Lord sent me to anoint thee to be king over his people, over Israel. Now therefore hearken thou unto thy voice of the words of the Lord. Thus saith the Lord of hosts, I remembered that which Amalek did to Israel, how he laid wait for him in a way when he came up from Egypt.
So here is another instance where we had the king became disobedient, and he also made the children of Israel to sin against the Most High. This was not no small sin. It was a big sin in the Most High's eyes. But go ahead.
Verse 3, now go and smite Amalek and utterly destroy all that they have, and spare them not, but slay both man and woman, infant and suckling, ox and sheep, camel and ass.
So because they allowed these Amalekites to live, the children of Israel went into sin again. And they rule over us till this very day because of this. But go ahead.
And Saul gathered the people together and numbered them in Telaim, 200,000 footmen and 10,000 men of Judah. And Saul came to a city of Amalek and laid wait in the valley. And Saul said unto the Kenites, go, depart, get you down from among the Amalekites, lest I destroy you with them.
But here, as you can see, the children of Israel, we had an army, right? Saul had thousands of soldiers. Where's our thousands of soldiers at today that's prepared and ready for battle? Crickets, right? But go ahead.
For ye showed kindness to all the children of Israel when they came up out of Egypt. So the Kenites departed from among the Amalekites. And Saul smote the Amalekites from Havilah until thou comest to Shur, that is over against Egypt. And he took Agag, the king of the Amalekites, alive, and utterly destroyed all the people with the edge of the sword.
But he was also supposed to destroy this king, right? He was not supposed to live, but go ahead.
But Saul and the people spared Agag and the best of the sheep and the oxen and of the fatlings and the lambs and all that was good, and would not utterly destroy them, but everything that was vile, and refused that they destroy utterly.
So in verse 3, this is what the Most High said. He said, now and go smite Amalek and utterly destroy all that they have, and spare them not, but slay both man, woman, infant, and suckling, ox, and sheep, camel, and ass. But they left these things alive because Saul didn't obey the Most High, which caused the children of Israel to go into sin again. But go ahead.
Verse 10, then came the word of the Lord unto Samuel, saying, it repented me that I have set up Saul to be king, for he is turned back from following me and hath not performed my commandments.
So Saul was like not following his commandments. The Most High was mad. But this is what the people chose. That's why the Most High told Samuel, hearken unto the people. This is what they want. They want a man to rule over them instead of me. Now this man is causing Israel to sin, causing us as a nation to suffer. Go ahead.
And it grieved Samuel, and he cried unto the Lord all night. And when Samuel rose early to meet Saul in the morning, it was told Samuel, saying, Saul came to Carmel, and behold, he set him up a place, and is gone about and passed on, and gone down to Gilgal. And Samuel came to Saul, and Saul said unto him, blessed be thou of the Lord. I have performed the commandment of the Lord. And Samuel said, what meaneth then this bleating of the sheep in my ears, and the lowing of the oxen which I hear? And Samuel said, they have brought them from the Amalekites,
which they were supposed to destroy. Go to verse 18.
Verse 18, and the Lord sent thee on a journey and said, go and utterly destroy the sinners of the Amalekites and fight against them until they be consumed. Wherefore then didst thou not obey the voice of the Lord, but didst fly upon the spoil and did evil in the sight of the Lord.
So they took the spoils and did evil in the sight of the Most High, which they were not supposed to do. But go ahead.
And Saul said unto Samuel, yea, I have obeyed the voice of the Lord, and have gone the way which the Lord sent me.
Which that was not the way the Most High said go, but go ahead.
And have brought Agag the king of Amalek, and have utterly destroyed the Amalekites. But the people took the spoil, sheep and oxen, the chief of the things which should have been utterly destroyed, to sacrifice unto the Lord thy God in Gilgal. And Samuel said, hath the Lord as great delight in burnt offerings and sacrifices as in obeying the voice of the Lord?
So he was like, man, you didn't do what the Lord said to do. But go ahead, let's see what else he said.
Behold, to obey is better than sacrifice.
So some people be like, man, I'm going to do this instead of following what the Lord say. I'm going to fast instead of doing what the Lord say. Nah, you don't have to do that. Just obey. And the children of Israel be in their rightful places when we do that. But go ahead.
And hearken then the fat of rams. For rebellion is as the sin of witchcraft.
So he said that's as the sin of witchcraft. What the scripture says about a witch? It said, we shall not suffer a witch to live. So rebellion can get you put to death. He don't want the children of Israel to rebel. That's why we in captivity today. Deuteronomy 28:68 all day. We serving our enemies in want of all things. But go ahead.
For rebellion is as the sin of witchcraft, and stubbornness is as iniquity and idolatry.
So when you stubborn, that's the iniquity of idolatry. Idolatry is punishable by death. You could get put to death for being stubborn, Israel. So don't be stubborn, but go ahead.
Because thou hast rejected the word of the Lord, he hath also rejected thee from being king.
So he said, I'm going to reject you from being king. Saul was no longer fit because he no longer listened to the words and the instructions of the Most High. So let's go to verse 26.
Verse 26, and Samuel said unto Saul, I will not return with thee, for thou hast rejected the word of the Lord, and the Lord hath rejected thee from being king over Israel.
So Saul was no longer king over Israel, which we're going to get that. Let's go to 2 Samuel, because you know David became a king as well. Let's go to 2 Samuel 12:1 through 12. Because David was on the righteous path, and then he went off.
2 Samuel chapter 12, verse 1. And the Lord sent Nathan unto David, and he came unto him and said unto him, there were two men in one city, the one rich and the other poor.
So we know David was a king. He was a righteous man. He fought and did all these righteous things for the Most High. But this is the sin that he committed that brought Israel down. But go ahead.
The rich man had exceeding many flocks. Oh, it's like many flocks.
Start over because you had the thing on the button.
Verse 2. The rich man had exceeding many flocks and herds, but the poor man had nothing save one little ewe lamb, which he had bought and nourished up. And it grew up together with him and with his children, did eat of his own meat, and drank of his own cup, and lay in his bosom, and was unto him as a daughter. Mm-hmm. And there came a traveler unto the rich man, and he spared to take of his own flock and of his own herd to dress for the warfaring man that was come unto him, but he took poor man's lamb and dressed it for the man that was come to him. And David's anger was greatly kindled against the man. And he said, Nathan, as the Lord liveth, the man that had done this thing shall surely die.
So David was giving a testimony against himself because he had sinned against Uriah the Hittite. He slept with his wife and then he put him on the front line to be killed. So here you had the prophet come and telling David, explaining him the situation. So David, but he didn't tell him who it was. So David would know the punishment that was coming. And David even agreed that that man who did this should die. But let's go ahead and see what he said.
Verse 6, and he shall restore the lamb fourfold because he did this thing and because he had no pity. And Nathan said to David, thou art the man.
He was like, you that man. You didn't have no pity. You was wicked towards your people. Well, he wasn't your people, but he was a servant in your army, Uriah the Hittite. But go ahead.
Thus said the Lord God of Israel, I anointed thee king over Israel, and I delivered thee out of the hand of Saul. And I gave thee thy master's house and thy master's wives into thy bosom, and gave thee the house of Israel and of Judah. And if that had been too little, I would moreover have given unto thee such and such things.
So he was like, I would have gave you more. The children of Israel were balling. But you committed this sin. You brought wickedness upon Israel at this point. So David's kingdom was brought down as well. So let's go to another king. Because it's always on the kings. Let's get, before we go to King Solomon, let's get Sirach 10:1. Always on the kings and the judges to uphold righteousness in Israel. Because when righteousness does not go forth, all you have is wickedness going forth, right? Every man doing that which seeming right in his own eyes, which is actually wrong. But go ahead.
Sirach chapter 10, verse 1. A wise judge will instruct his people, and the government of a prudent man is well ordered.
Mm-hmm.
As the judge of the people is himself, so are his officers, and what manner of man the ruler of the city is, such are all that dwell therein.
So if the king is wicked, the judges are wicked, the people are going to be wicked. They're going to slack off in judgment too, because they're going to think everything is all right. Like, oh, he got away with it, I can get away with it. And that's what was happening here in Israel. The kings were the first ones to sin in some of these instances. And then they would send the people off. Because everybody looked up to the king, right? Who do they look up to today? Everybody, well, in this kingdom, everybody's looking up to Trump. Trump saying, make America great again. And you got these white folks, they rallying up, talking about the hell with these niggers, kill these niggers. I wish these niggers were slaves again. So as the king is, so is the people. And this is what was happening in Israel. When you had wicked rulers, the people were wicked. When the rulers were righteous, the people were righteous. Because they was bringing down judgment, which Solomon started off in righteousness. David started out in righteousness. Saul started off in righteousness. But somewhere, they went away from the Most High. And the people went away also. So with that, let's get 1 Kings 1. (28 - 35).
First Kings chapter 1, verse 28. Then King David answered and said, call me Bathsheba. And she came into the king's presence and stood before the king. And the king sware and said, as the Lord liveth, thou hast redeemed my soul out of all distress, even as I swear unto thee by the Lord God of Israel, saying, assuredly Solomon thy son shall reign after me, and he shall sit upon my throne in my stead.
So Solomon became the king of Israel now. But go ahead.
Even so will I certainly do this day, that Bathsheba bowed with her face to the earth and did reverence to the king and said, "Let my Lord King David live forever." And King David said, "Call Zadok the priest and Nathan the prophet and Benaiah the son of Jehoiada," and they came before the king. The king also said unto them, "Take with you the servants of your Lord, and cause Solomon my son to ride upon my own mule, and bring him down to Gihon."
So what David was doing, he was setting King Solomon up, his son, to show all the people that he's the king now. But go ahead.
"And let Zadok the priest and Nathan the prophet anoint him there king over Israel, and blow ye with the trumpet, and say, God save King Solomon. Then ye shall come up after him, that he may come and sit upon my throne, for he shall be king in my stead. And I have appointed him to be ruler over Israel and over Judah."
So let's see some of the riches that King Solomon had. Let's go to 1 King chapter 9, verse 26.
1 Kings chapter 9, verse 26, "And King Solomon made a navy of ships in Ezion-Geber, which is beside Elah, and on the shore of the Red Sea, in the land of Edom."
So King Solomon had a navy of ships. Let's see what he did with those navy of ships. Let's go to 1 Kings 10 and 1. We're going to read on. We almost done, y'all.
1 Kings chapter 10, verse 1, "And when the queen of Sheba heard of the fame of Solomon concerning the name of the Lord, she came to prove him with hard questions. And she came to Jerusalem with a very great train with camels that bear spices and very much gold and precious stones. And when she was come to Solomon, she communed with him and of all that was in her heart. And Solomon told her all her questions. There was not anything hid from the king which he told her not. And when the queen of Sheba had seen all Solomon's wisdom in the house that he had built, and the meat of his table, and the sitting of his servants, and
so Solomon, when he was a wise king, he had wisdom, he had knowledge, he had understanding of everything, and he was able to display all these things to the queen of Sheba, which you can get in chapter 9. It shows all the things that he had as well. But go ahead.
"And the attendants of his ministers, and their apparel, and his cupbearers, and his ascent, by which he went up unto the house of the Lord, there was no more spirit in her. And she said to the king, It was a true report that I heard in my own land of thy acts and of thy wisdom. Howbeit, I believed not the words until I came and my eyes had seen it. And behold, the half was not told me. Thy wisdom and prosperity exceeded the fame which I had heard."
So she was mesmerized by all the things that he had, his wisdom, his knowledge. But let's get down to chapter 11, start at verse 1. We're going to see how King Solomon made the people go off in his end days. But go ahead.
1 Kings chapter 11, verse 1, "But King Solomon loved many strange women."
Which we were not supposed to take as our wives. Neither take their sons on to our daughters, which you can get that in 1 Ezra chapter 8, verse 84 and 85. It shows that the children of Israel were not supposed to mingle and mix with the other nations. You can also get that in Deuteronomy 7 and verse 6. 7 and 3, I mean. But go ahead.
"Together with the daughter of Pharaoh, women of the Moabites."
So now he marrying the Egyptian, the Moabite women, go ahead.
"Ammonites."
The Ammonite women, go ahead.
"Edomites."
Edomites, our worst enemy, the Amalekites, whom Saul was supposed to put to death, right? But go ahead.
"Sidonians and Hittites of the nations concerning which the Lord said unto the children of Israel, You shall not go into them."
So the Most High had he told you, don't go into them. Now he's breaking the covenant that the Most High made with us. Go ahead.
"Neither shall they come in unto you, For surely they will turn away your heart after their gods. Solomon clave unto these in love.
So serving other gods, that was one of the big things that Israel did, was go whoring after other gods would cause Israel to fall. But go ahead.
And he had 700 wives, princes, and 300 concubines, and his wives turned away his heart.
See, his wives turned away his heart in his old age. When he was young, he was witty, he was smart. He was like, I could take on these women. But that's the same thing that happened to Samson. He wanted Delilah so bad that he went after her instead of keeping the Most High's covenant and not telling her where his strength lied and came from. He went away. Same thing would happen to Solomon. No different. But every time the kings and the rulers of Israel went off, the children of Israel went off as well. But go ahead.
For it came to pass when Solomon was old that his wives turned away his heart after other gods, and his heart was not perfect with the Lord his God, as was the heart of David his father.
So that's what made the children of Israel go off, going a whoring after other gods. That's how we went from Ballin to begging. Let's go to Deuteronomy 28 and 17. Because right now our people are begging for life, begging for health, begging for strength. Because of these things. Because of the breaking of the law, statutes, and covenant that the Most High made with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and with us. Because we are the seed of Abraham. We are the seed of Jacob. We are the seed of Isaac. But go ahead.
Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 17. Cursed shall be thy basket and thy store.
He was like, curse gonna be your basket. Deuteronomy 28 and 17. Let's see something right quick. Because he said, curse shall be thy basket. Let's go to Haggai chapter 1 and 6. He said, curse gonna be your basket and your store. The stores today, when we go to the stores, your food only have probably a week, if not a week, 2 to 3 days shelf life, because half of our food, it goes to the rich neighborhoods, and then they just scrub off the expiration date and send it to our neighborhoods. And sometimes when you buy it, when you get it home or the next day you get ready to eat the food, it's already spoiled. That's how our baskets are cursed. We work for our enemies and can't get the food that we need to nourish ourselves. Even a lot of our people, they trust in Whole Foods. Whole Foods sell a lot of GMO foods. They sell grapes, watermelons with no seeds in them. That's genetically modified. But our people go and pay big bucks for their fruits and their vegetables because they say, oh, it's Whole Foods. All their food is organic. Genetically modified is not organic. But go ahead.
Haggai chapter 1, verse 6. Ye have sown much and bring in little.
Our people be working hard in the fields, sowing all day, all night, right? And bring in little. Still struggling, paycheck to paycheck. And I know a lot of people lost their jobs during this COVID-19, but a lot of people been working for years and can't even get the money that's their money. That's a curse. We got to work for our enemies now. We got to beg them to help us. But go ahead.
Ye have sown much and bring in little. Ye eat, but ye have not enough. Ye drink, but ye are not filled with drink.
See, we don't have enough food. We got to ration it right now. So let's go back to Deuteronomy 28:17.
Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 17. Cursed shall be thy basket and thy store. Cursed shall be the fruit of thy body and the fruit of thy land, the increase of thy kind, and the flocks of thy sheep.
Man, we don't have anything. But I want to touch back on the curse shall be the fruit of thy curse shall be the fruit of thy basket and thy store. It was this recently the so-called the African Americans had a blackout date. What day was that? On the 2nd or the 7th? But it was this one black lady, which this is what they should have had. They should have had a day where they just patronized their own people and not buy nothing at all. Because she was like, man, they driving me out of business, my own people, because they having a blackout day and I need this money. She was like, I lost $100,000 today in sales, which could have helped my family eat and I could have sustained myself. So even that, man, Israel, when y'all planning doing stuff, do it right. If you're not going to patronize somebody, do not patronize your people, because they suffering already too. But you see the dumb decision our peoples make? That's the same thing Saul did, right? And making the people sin. Now you hurting your own people trying to devise a good blackout day. I said, man, we got blackout days already. It's the Sabbath and every new moon and all the other feasts that the Most High would have us to keep. We do this 4-5 days a month. Mandatory blackouts. No buying, no selling, no cooking, no working for our enemies at all on these days. You want to put a hurting on this economy? Follow the Lord. Follow the Most High. Then he'll bless you. But other than if we trying to do it our way, we still going to be begging. So with that, let's go to the, let's go back. Let's get that other scripture. Let's get 43 again.
Deuteronomy 28.
28 and 43.
Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 43. The stranger that is within thee shall get up above thee very high.
So the strangers that was within our gates got above us very high. Let's go to 2 Ezra 6, 56 through 57.
Second Ezra chapter 6, verse 56. As for the other people, which also come of Adam, thou hast said that they are nothing.
See, the Most High was like, these other nations, they are nothing. But go ahead.
But be like unto spittle, and has likened the abundance of them unto a drop that falleth from a vessel.
So when you got that last little drop of drink, I mean, you don't care if it fall on the ground. That's nothing, right? But go ahead. That's how the Most High say he feel about the other nations. But go ahead.
And now, O Lord, behold, these heathen, which have ever been reputed as nothing, have begun to be lords over us and to devour us.
They lords over us now. They devouring us as well. Ain't nothing new under the sun. The Bible stand true to this very day. They devouring us through their politics. They devouring us by their army, which is the local police. They killing brothers with impunity. How you say that? Yeah, impunity. So they killing brothers and getting off, getting rich from doing it. What's the two guys that killed Ahmaud Arbery? They set up a GoFundMe page. Them dudes is rich now, sitting in jail, rich. Darren Williams, when he killed Mike Brown, they gave him $500,000, and he retired after that. They set up a GoFundMe for that dude. But these are the things that's happened. So let's go back to Deuteronomy 28. In verse 44.
Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 44. He shall lend to thee, and thou shalt not lend to him.
Who's lending to us today? You got Lending Tree. You got Citibank. What African American bank is lending to us so we can get out of poverty, so we can get out of this hellhole? Not many, right? So if every African American went to the one African American bank that we do have, that would put a strain on that bank. And they'll eventually go out of business. Right? But this is the things that happens when we disobey the Most High. We become the beggar. We're no longer balling, but begging. Go ahead.
He shall be the head, and thou shalt be the tail.
So we the tail. We the ones voting for our enemies to continue to oppress us and rule over us. But we need our own land, which the Most High promises our land. We need our own cattle. We need our own police system. We need our own army, our own military to sustain us. our own gardens and everything. That was all of 44.
Yeah.
Let's get verse 48 and then we'll finish it.
Verse 48, therefore shalt thou serve thy enemies,
Which we serving our enemies today in want of all things. Go ahead.
which the Lord shall send against thee in hunger.
So we serve our enemies in hunger. We work for their establishments, and they tell us when, where, and how to work, and when to eat. Right? Go ahead.
And in thirst, and in nakedness, and in want of
So
all
during
things.
this pandemic, our people was buying up all of the water from our enemies. When did we have to start paying for water? When did Nestle become the sole owner of water and can go suck up water out of all the Great Lakes and sell it to us? Right? But that's not fair. Go ahead.
And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee.
So our people are destroyed through their policies. They put a yoke of iron on our necks, which next time I hope I'll have my PowerPoint available to show you the yoke of iron that they put on the children of Israel's neck as slaves. They would put the iron on their neck with these long rods sticking from it, so if they run, they'll hit a tree branch or something and fall down and can't get away. So with that, I hope Israel was edified, because we went from Ballin to begging, which we are begging for our lives right now, begging for equal rights, and we got the homosexuals taking the lives of straight men that's been killed here by the Americans and turning into sexual rights, which is not fair. But that's the curse that we live under as the nation of Israel when we don't get it right with our Creator, with our Maker, with our King, Yahweh. So with that said, Israel get it right. So we will no longer be begging, but we'll get back into the rightful state of balling under the Most High and His Son, Yahweh Shah. Shalom.
Shalom.